Hi, I'm Kelly from kellyjjewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this cool pendant. So I use a pointy back for the little stone. You can use a flat back if you like, and I've used a teardrop for the main stone. You can use any shape you like. It's totally adjustable. It's totally adaptable rather. But yeah, you can adjust it to fit any shape. I'd like to say a quick thank you to all my patrons for all your support, and if you would like to support me, I have got a Patreon account and I'll put the links in the description below. There's multiple tiers to choose from and benefits to gain, and thank you all so much. I'll put your names on the screen. So let's get to it. To make this pendant you'll need 0.8mm wire, which is 20 gauge, and I've cut 4 lengths at 13 inches, which is 33 centimetres. You'll need 0.315mm weaving wire. Feel free to go up or down a step on any of these recommended gauges, so that's 28 gauge. I've wound some onto a bobbin. I'll put the measurement above because I'll be able to tell you at the end how much I actually used. So you just wind a load of weaving wire onto one of these bobbins and then you reel it off, and that sits down by your side, and it just makes it easier for working with the longer lengths. This is a Bobeeze bobbin by Beadsmith. It's the 25mm unweighted one. What else have I got? Teardrop cab. So I've got a teardrop cabochon, quite a cute one. Mine is 28 by 16, so anything this kind of size. I'll need a little stone as well. My little stone is actually quite big. If you can get a slightly bigger little stone, if you know what I mean, this is 8mm. It just makes it a bit easier to capture in the top of the wire. You can use a 5mm, will be fine. It's just a bit more fiddly. If you can get something that's more like an 8. This is obviously a facetted one with a pointy back. Anything, you can use anything for this. It really is adaptable. You can use a flat back, anything you like. I wouldn't go any bigger than 10mm really for the top one, but again, you can do anything you want. You can use any size you like. What else? We're going to need a couple of beads. So I've got 2 3mm beads. When you're buying your beads, just make sure the hole's big enough to fit onto your base wires. Right, tools. So I've got my pliers, round nose pliers, cutters, nylon pliers. If you don't have nylon pliers, don't worry. These are just handy for straightening wires and flattening and compressing weaves. Also, you could do with a pair of bail pliers today, but don't worry, you can always just bend the bail over your finger. My tools are Tronex, and I'll put a list of everything in the description below. So cut your wires to the lengths that I have. Take your base wires, position your thumb centrally on those wires, and we'll start weaving just to the left of your thumb there. So we start with 3 wraps around the bottom wire, so we're just attaching all the wires together. And that's our Gracie snoring already. Wrap around the bottom 2, bringing the wire up between. Go around the middle 2, come up between, over the top, come up between the bottom 2, go around the middle, and then we'll repeat that. So we need to repeat that a few times, tying all our wires together. Say it now so I don't forget. Please mention me, Kelly Jones Design, when sharing your finished work made from my tutorials. Please don't share images in progress or of the back, as it gives all my little design secrets away. Thank you to everybody in advance. So I've done 6 repeats of that, and we'll finish with some wraps around the bottom wire just to finish off those. Hold it all in place, push your wraps together, and we'll cut those wires and press down those little cut ends. So grip your wire centrally We're going to bend it into a V. Now this V needs to be the same angle as the stone. Holding the peak of that stone into the V, I'm going to bring the wires around the stone. Nice bit of dragon jasper there, isn't it beautiful? So cross the wires above, and get it nice and central. Have a look at your wires. Make sure your wires don't cross over each other. Bend them straight up. I'm just going to give it a wiggle with the pliers. And then when I can see where the mark is, then I'm going to bend them up there. So I'm just going to do a little weave at the top here just to hold the wires together on the top sides. So holding those, so I'm going to weave on these 4 wires here. Hold those wires and pull them apart a bit so it can weave a bit easier. Take your weaving wire. So we'll start with a few wraps around the bottom wire. Slide that down to just before where that bend is. And we'll do the same weave as we did on the bottom. So we go around 2 wires. I am going to bend the other side over there out the way because they're getting in the way already. Sorry, around 2 wires, up between those 2, go around the next 2, come up between, over the top, up between the bottom 2. So we're doing the same weave as the bottom, and we'll do probably 3 repeats of that. We'll do that on each side to pull all the wires together. I'm still getting knotted in those other wires. So I've done 3 repeats. I'll finish with a few wraps around this bottom wire, and I'll cut the weaving wire at both ends, and we'll do the same to the other side. Always press your little cut ends down, don't want any sharp bits, so we'll turn it over, and we're going to do that same weave at this top bit here. So again, I'm just going to spread my wires out a sec. So to keep it all nice, probably won't notice actually when it's done, I'm going to make this back wire has my 3 wraps. So when it comes up to here, my back wire is going to have the 3 wraps. So we start with 3 wraps around the top wire, and we do the weave upside down just so it's matching everything else. Start with 3 wraps around that top wire. So we come up between, so doing it backwards, we come up between the middle 2. We wrap around the top 2 wires. Then we come up between the bottom 2. And we wrap around the middle 2 wires. Come under the bottom wire and go around the bottom 2. Come up between the bottom 2. Go around the middle wires, come up between the middle 2, go around the top 2 wires, and I think that's our repeat. Do a few more of those. Cut the weaving wire from the beginning. So I've done 3 repeats of that weave, and I've finished with 3 wraps around that top wire there. So bringing the wires together at the top, we'll wrap around all of them to attach them together. and then we'll reshape it again around the stone. Could probably do that now if you want to, just to make sure it all still fits. So go around the whole thing. What's that, 4 times? 4 or 5 times I'll do it. And finish with a few wraps around a back wire. Make sure your stone still fits to the back. Grab that back wire and just pull it back a little on both sides. So we're just making a gap big enough for the pliers there. Wiggle your pliers down to the bottom. Grip that back wire and twist it in, holding the wire in place at the top there. And then on the other side, turn it around. You can do it again at the bottom if you want to. I'm going to do it at the top here. Grip the wire, twist the wire, bending it in. So that's the stone held in from the back, and then turn to the front, and we'll do it on the front. So again, pull that wire forward. So we've got a nice gap down the side there. Do that on both sides. Grip the wire and one big twist across the stone. Turn it around, or you can again twist the bottom if you want to. Grip the wire, one big twist. So that's the stone in place. Just give it a squeeze all the way around, make sure it fits nice and tight. Part these side wires a bit on both sides, so you spread them out a little. Squeeze the wires around the stone so it's all nicely held. So we can actually cut that weaving wire at the back, because we're going to fit our little stone in before we start weaving the bail. So when you are trapping a stone at the top here, because this is what we're going to do, we're going to trap the little stone at the top. Make sure your wires aren't crossing over each other. Apart the wires quite a lot. If you've got a flat back stone, move to a flat surface, position your stone in there, flat side down, and you can bend the wires around the stone. If you've got a pointy back, like me, you can't do that because it's just going to keep moving around. So what you can do is, if you've got bail pliers, 9 times out of 10 your stone will be the size of one of these sizes. So if you can find out what size your stone is, mine is roughly the biggest one here. And then you can bend your wires around your pliers just to give you a rough idea, and then you can adjust it yourself. So that's the size of the pliers. If I try my stone, it's not a bad fit. I can adjust that a little. So you're trying to make this into the shape of the stone and the size. I'll make it a little bit tighter just so it grips it. And then you want to bring your wires up at the top. And then try and level it all up. So when you've got a rough shape, I've just made mine a little bit smaller so it grips onto the stone a bit better. You can definitely bring your back wires in if you've got a pointy back. So when you think you've got that right, we can then attach those wires together at the top. We don't need to add loads of weaves into this one, we can just attach it straight together. So take your weaving wire, we need a back wire, so wrap 3 times around a back wire. Slide it down to where all the wires meet there, and then we'll go around the whole thing. She's snoring so loud, I've just gone and moved her and she's wriggled back, the little monkey. Sometimes if I move her I can stop her snoring so loud. It really rumbles sometimes. So here we go, about 4 or 5 times again, and then back around one of those back wires. Put it nice and tight so you really tying that wire down. And we'll keep this because this is going to weave our bail, and we'll cut the wire from the beginning. Press down that little cut. We need to fit the little stone in there now. I think it's best to pull the wires across the front a little bit because my stone just keeps moving around. So get between those front wires. Get back in, and this side. Oh, I twisted that the wrong way. Okay, so I've messed it up a bit and it's missed a bit. So when I'm attaching the little stone at the top, I bend the wires in at the front, turn it around, pull the back wires back, and then just squeeze them together at the top and the bottom. Okay, let's jump back in. So then we need to cut off this bit of weaving wire only from the beginning. So next we're going to sort out these top wires. We're going to take the front 2 on each side and bend them over out the way. So we've got the back 2 still standing on each side. So that's going to be our bail. So looking at it, get those into a nice V, nice and wide, and ignore the front wires. So we're going to weave just across those back 4 wires. To bring your wire up in between the 2, and we'll wrap a few times around this second wire. We'll go twice around both wires, come up between, and again we'll go a few times around that second wire. So we've gone 2 times around both, 2 times again around the second wire, and then pass it over to the other side. Push it right down as far as you can. So I'm just going to use my pliers to push it down there. There's no way I'm getting my nylon pliers in there. So then we go, same repeat, we go twice around the third wire. Twice around both wires. It gets easier in a bit when we've got away from that tight V where all the wires are. And then twice around the third wire, and really push it down. Come over this side and we come over the second wire, push it down. So we go twice around that second wire, keep pushing it down. You wrap around and then you go twice. Twice around both wires, same repeat. Twice around the second wire. Really push it down. And then go over that third wire and push it down. And that's our bail. Keep repeating that weave on one side and then on the other, and keep pushing it down the best you can and give it a proper shove down between. Repeat, you can use your pliers to push it down too. So we're going to do that for about 1.5 centimeters. And then we'll shape the next part. So about 1.5 centimeters roughly. So what we'll do now, make sure your weave is really pushed down. Holding these side wires, we bend it in. And again here, holding those wires, we bend it in. I'm going to bend them in a bit more. Then where they cross at the top, we bend them out. And then part them a bit to make weaving a bit easier. So you end up with this nice shape here. So we're going to carry on weaving now to the top of this bail section, and the wire will keep sliding up. Because we've got a nice little amount of wraps on each side, it's easier to hold it down, so it will be easier to do than if you just wrap a couple of times and come over and then a couple of times and go back. It will keep slipping up a lot more then. So hold this side down, bring your wire over, push it down, and then carefully we're going to do the same. We're doing exactly the same repeats. You just got to keep pushing it down as you go. So I've repeated that weave right the way to the top there, and then we're going to take our bail pliers and bend that weave. My bail pliers just are smaller than my weave. That's just not going to work. I tried. That's better. That's better. At the back, we're going to bend the wires out so that we can pull the weave together. Trying to show you without bending all my wires. And you see that middle section there where the wires meet? Well, I'm going to take my weaving wire around the whole thing where the wires meet. So I've gone round 3 times. Try and position your wraps above your other wraps or wherever you can get them nice and tidy. I'm going to finish with a few wraps around this outer wire to hold that all down. So that's that all attached in place. So we'll cut the, I can find my cutters, cut that weaving wire, press that little cut end down. So we'll leave those back wires for now and we'll focus on the front. We'll take these 2 wires here. So weaving across those 2, take your weaving wire that you just cut off. We'll attach with 3 wraps around that bottom wire. Slide it right down. and we'll wrap around both wires 3 times, and that's our repeat. So we've got 3 wraps around the bottom wire, 3 wraps around both wires, and we're going to need quite a few repeats on this. So what we'll do, we'll start with 12, and then we can add a few more on there. So I've done 12 repeats of that weave, cut the beginning bit before we bend it around so it's a bit easier. And then we're going to take that weave around. So we've pushed it down a little bit at the base to get it started. Then I'm going to take this weave all the way around. Like that. So next I'm going to take one of these wires from the back and I'm pulling it directly across the side. Can you see that? So I've took the outer one and I've just bent it straight over the side there. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take that wire and I'm going to bend it out like that, so it can follow that weave. Do you know what I mean? So that wire comes around to follow the weave like that. And I'm going to pop a little bead on there. So that's the 3mm bead. And then this wire, push that up a bit more, this wire is then going to join into those 2 wires. So it's going to join that. So we've now got 3. So over the 3 wires, I'm going to wrap around the bottom 2 wires twice. So I'm going to go around all 3 wires. Come up between the bottom 2 and wrap around the top 2 wires. Then wrap around the top wire, so come up between the top 2, go around the top wire a couple of times. So the repeat is, we go around the top 2 wires twice, then we go around all 3 twice, we go around the top 2 twice, then we go around the top wire. So we do it twice and then it's all in keep. Push that together. We'll do that a few more times to get around the stone. So we're going to bring the wire around the stone. So do that repeat a couple more times. Keep pushing your weave together. I like to flatten mine with nylon pliers. Don't worry if you haven't got any. So we're going to take this weave and we're going to bend it around the front of the stone there. See what I mean? So now I'm going to take this bottom wire here from that weave and I'm going to post it through the middle there above the stone. I just want to anchor that weave down. So I'm going to use this end wire, pull it through there. I'm going to leave it over that side for now. So then we've got the weave that comes around, and then I want it to come down and follow this stone. So we're going to carry on the weave with just those two wires. So the third wire that went through the middle, that kind of anchors it down for now, straighten that wire. And then this weave is going to carry on around. If we come up between the two, we want the weave to go that way. So no, we'll come up underneath this bottom wire and we'll go 3 wraps around this bottom wire and then 3 wraps around the 2 wires, and we'll repeat that for the length that it takes to get to the bottom of the stone, and we should just have enough wire. So I haven't done the whole weave yet, but this weave is just going to follow around the stone there, and I'm going to bring some of the wires around to join into it, I think. So make sure that your weave doesn't cover your top stone, and then as this weave comes down it has to come across this middle section. So adjust this wire out and the weave has to come down the middle section, otherwise you're going to have a gap here. So pull it over, pull it down so it follows the stone but it goes across that middle section. So next we're going to take this next wire at the top there. I'm going to pull this weave forward just a tiny bit so I can pull this weave over, this wire. So I'm going to scoop the wire and then I'm going to push it back so it's behind the weave. And I'm going to bring it around to follow the other ones, like that. And I'm going to scoop it around that side of the stone and then bring it around and down, and it will follow the weave. Coming back up to the top, take the next wire. We're going to scoop that one around too. Hold on. So we're going to scoop it around too, but we're also going to push it back a little bit. Just a bit. And it's going to come around a little bit lower down. It's going to meet the top there like that. So we've got like a fan effect at the top. And I want it to come around as well, but I don't want it covering up that stone. So I'm going to adjust my weave a little bit so that the weave isn't covering the stone. I'm going to pull it over that side a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So when you've got those 2 wires where you want them, take a short piece of weaving wire, wrap around one of those wires, slide it up, we're going to go around both wires a few times. And then around a single wire a few times, and then post the end through wherever is easiest. Just post it through wherever you can. And we're just going to tie that weave down. So we're going to wrap a few times around whatever's easiest for you at the back, and then post it back through and wrap a few more times around that bottom wire there. So cut that weaving wire. I was hoping this was only going to be a short one. It's a lot longer than I thought. So we take this outer wire next, this is from the back, and we scoop it up. So we're coming across the side and up like that. We take it around into a little loop, and then we go around again. We could put a little bead on it. So I've put a little bead on there, very little, it's like 2mm. I get my beads off Etsy. Just make sure the centre hole is big enough to fit on your wire. So I've done a second loop, and that's the one that's got the bead on. And that's got to go across behind all that lot. Right, to sort out my wires. So I'm going to pop it behind everything. So I'm just going to add the one wire into the weave. I'm going to leave the other one there for now. And then to weave across these, because these three are just going to reach down towards the bottom, I'm going to go around 2 wires, around 3 wires, around 2 wires, and around 1 wire. And I'll do that a couple more times. So I've done a few repeats of that weave, and you can see it's come apart a little bit, so I need to push it together. Oh, that's how Gracie making all the noise. So then this weave comes across the front of the stone there, and I'm pushing it a bit because I don't want it covering up the stone too much. So I'm pushing a curve into that side a little bit. And then I'm going to take the outer 2 wires, these 2, and I'm going to scoop them down and out like that. So I'm going to now weave across these 2, and these 2 will go over and wrap around the back. So I'm going to go 2 wraps, and then around the outer wire 5 times, and that's my repeat. I'll just do a few more of those. So that then, looking at the position of the weave across the stone, that then goes over the side and will attach at the back. So you want to make sure you've done enough weave to reach around there like that. This wire is just going to finish with a little scoop at the front there. But I want the 2 wires as a weave, so I can cut that weaving wire as soon as it's out the way and it's not visible from the front. I'll do another couple of repeats, I think, to get around the side, And I'm just going to attach to this wire, if you can hear me over her snoring her head off. So I'm just attaching these wires down to that back wire. I've made a gap under there. I'm just going to push them around. Check the weave is in place where you want it to sit at the front there. And then, where's my cutter's gone? Cut off the excess and wrap them around that back wire. Press them nice and tight out the way. The wire, I was going to just curl it, but it looks so nice following the weave. I'm going to follow it. Let me zoom out so I can show you. I'm going to follow it over the side. But I'm going to post it through there because I've got a little tiny gap at the bottom. So I'm going to post the end through the gap I'll show you. And you want to pull it through just so it's in the nice place, so it's where you want it to be. And then I'm going to curl that little bit around. I'm too close, let's just put a little curl in it. Not much left to do now. So this wire from earlier that went through that middle, which was like an anchor point for the weave, that's going to come over the front in like a little scoop there. This wire here, which is the one from this side that went underneath the weave, that's going to go around. I'm going to pop the other 3mm bead onto this wire here. And then this wire is going to go over and finish off at the back there. I'm going to put it around that back wire. This one at the front, I'm going to cut off into a little curl. Feel free to do anything you want with any of these wires, it's entirely up to you. I didn't want the video to be this long, so I'm kind of just finishing off the wires now, but feel free to carry on with them if you want to. Little curl there. I'm going to finish these 2 wires at the back, so I'm just going to cut those and curl them. And I think I'm just going to put a few curls in this one, because it doesn't want to go anywhere I want it to. Make sure it's not covering the stone first, because I don't want to pull it round and it covers the, see what I mean? It's coming in, isn't it? I want it to stay out there. And I want an even smaller one next to it, so I shall have to use my pliers for that too. I'm just going to attach this wire down. So I've strapped that wire down, I've followed it, I did the double curl, I followed it down, and I've strapped it to these wires here, and I've gone around them a few times. Then I'll go around the single wire a few times, and I'm just going to finish that off with a little curl there in that space. Where's my cutters gone? We are nearly finished. Joking, I don't like it, it's too long. I'm going to do it really short. I worry about cutting my nails while I'm working, while I'm cutting the wire. You cut my finger off then. So we've finished off that wire differently, this curly whirly one here. I took it over the side, so you can see it at the front and then it goes over the side there. And I joined it onto the back wire, but to hold it in place there, I put a few wraps around one of those middle wires and then spread them out a bit. But I'm really pleased how that one came out. I've got another idea for another layout of like how I could have done it all differently, so I think I might do another version of this one because I really like it. So there we have it, finished. I've oxidised mine. If you'd like help oxidising yours, I've done videos on oxidising and aftercare. I'll put links in the description below. Really pleased how this one has turned out. So thanks for watching. I hope you managed to follow this tutorial okay, and I would love to see what you make. Come and share with me on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.